Hey guys, we're back. So yes, it has been 1 month since the podcast has come out. Happy New Year. Technically the last episode came out in the new year, but I haven't recorded one in the new year. So happy 2020. Hope everything is going great for all of you guys so far. For those of you that are curious, like, why were we gone for so long? Basically, just kind of needed a break. I made a video, and I was going to just take 2 weeks off originally because there was just a lot of stuff going on in the U.S. at the time. I didn't want to really distract from any of it. If you guys want to check that out, you guys can check. I think that's literally my last upload. No, I think it's my second last upload on this channel. But other than that, in those 2 weeks that I was gone, classes actually started for college. And so I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Maybe I need a little more time so I can adjust, because I didn't want to throw myself into a situation where I felt uncomfortable and where I felt unprepared. So I took 2 extra additional weeks off, mainly to, one, it's just kind of nice to have a break for a little bit, because I was going weekly for, August until December, so for about 4 months. And also, I kind of wanted to fine-tune and think about the podcast a little more. And so I did that. And I was watching back a lot of the other podcasts, just kind of like game film, curious how I want things to operate from now on. And one of the biggest things I noticed is it feels way too formal. Even when I have guests on and we're fucking around, it's fun, but it feels too formal coming from me. All the guests, I love each and every one of you. I want all of you guys back on again. I am looking forward to the future guests we have on the show. It was just me. I felt way too I felt way too formal, which I think I was handling the podcast a little too professionally. Now, there's a difference between like being professional and acting professional. And like, I want this show to kind of look and feel professional, but I want me and the feeling of the show to also feel very informal. Like, you guys as an audience can interact with me whenever you guys want to. So we're going to move to a little more informal. We're still going to have segments. We're still going to have guests on. Not that much is changing, but I want to get the audience more involved. So especially for this video, this is essentially just like, we're basically starting a new season is what this is. This is season 2 of the Training Camp Podcast, essentially. And so for you guys, please be as active as you guys possibly need to be in the comments. You think this wall looks dumb? Write in the comments. You think this light switch is stupid? Write it in the comments. You think I need to bulk up? I'm working on it. Okay, it's a work in progress. But write it in the comments. There's certain things you want me to talk about. Write in the comments. Like, I want this show to not only have guests on and be about the show's journey through when we start to however long we go. I want it to also be a community where everyone can get just drop a sports take, and I don't want to say argue, but I mean, arguments just gonna kind of come out of it anyway. So just drop a sports take and people talk about it. So I want this show to be more than just a podcast. I want it to be a community as well. I want people at the end of their week to be like, oh, Training Camp Podcast is coming out this week. I can't wait for it. Speaking of which, here's our first community involvement. I'm curious what days you guys would prefer to get these shows out. I'm going to give you guys 3 options. You got Thursday night or afternoon, Friday, whatever time of day, Saturday, whatever time of day. I don't want to do Sundays, especially because when football comes back, I don't want this coming out the day of football Sunday, because we all know, there's football games to watch. There's no reason to watch the podcast. So I do record the show. My new schedule, I will be recording the shows on Wednesday nights around 5 o'clock. It's 5:30 right now because I was a little unprepared and had to get everything set up. But usually about 5:30 is when I'll be recording the shows. So I'm curious what days you guys would like to watch the shows. Right now we upload Saturdays at noon. I feel like that was a great time frame to upload at, just because it's the weekend. Noon is around, most people wake up on the weekends, and especially since it's a podcast, even though there's a video version, I feel like this is a show. I mean, we have our episodes uploaded to Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. You don't have to watch to really be able to follow along, honestly. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about that. Really excited for the future of the podcast, and yeah, It did kind of stink being gone for so long because I don't want people to think I forgot about the podcast. I didn't. Believe me, it was one of the biggest things on my mind when I was at work, at school, grocery shopping, at home. Like, it was one of the biggest things on my mind. So, no, the podcast is not going anywhere. I just need to refine some things. So, some things might even look different as far as we know. But, yeah, also, if, like, new things that are different look stupid, put it in the comments. Be like, hey, maybe you should try this. Hey, maybe do that. This and this and this and that. I would love that. I love input like that. I love reading the comments. I love just the interactions. Also, if you want to be interactive with the channel, follow the Instagram page. We're at like 65 followers, which is way more than I would have ever expected to get on that page. So, yeah, follow it. Link in the description. Same with the podcast links for like the audio versions on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check those out. Anyway, this is a sports talk show. Let's get into the sports. Let's talk about the news of the week. So, we're going to get more recent. Biggest thing. Rumors of Andrew Luck coming out of retirement. Now, these rumors, not sure how realistic they are, but it was leaked text messages. They could have been shopped. I'm not going to lie to you guys. These could be hella fake. I would never know. These could be shopped. But we're going to kind of treat this like they're not shopped. If Andrew Luck comes out of retirement for the Colts are a contender in the AFC. You can't change my mind about that. What team is beating them besides the Chiefs? I mean, the Chargers are looking good. I'm very high on them. I'm curious to see their over-under for next season. I imagine they're probably going to win like 10 games. But like, what team? I don't think the Ravens could beat them with how good the Colts defense is. The Colts finally have an offensive line. Like, that's Andrew Luck's wet dream. So if Andrew Luck comes out of retirement, great for the NFL, bad for the Steelers, but great for the NFL, and that'll be a lot of fun. Realistically, I probably think these are not real. I think this is probably an illusion made by Adobe Photoshop. And again, this is something that I've been hearing a lot of. If these are real, you are a douchebag for leaking these texts out. You suck as a human being. So, yeah, there we go. Andrew Luck. I kind of want that to happen, actually, now that I think about it. I just liked watching Andrew Luck play, man. He was so good. He was so talented. Why couldn't they just draft a better offensive line earlier? Do I want Andrew Luck to come to the Steelers? It wouldn't happen, but that would be wild. One more year of Ben. In that year, let Andrew Luck get, like, in shape. I would love that. All right. I want Andrew Luck only if he comes to the Steelers. Oh, yeah, no, there's no way. Other things came in the news today. AB is still not ready for the Super Bowl. Okay, whatever will the Buccaneers do without Antonio Brown? Who are they going to throw to? Mike Evans? Ugh, why would you throw to him? Chris Godwin? Oh, man, he's not even number one on a team. Scotty Miller? He's one of the slowest dudes in the NFL. Cameron Brate? Rob Gronkowski? He's washed. Okay, AB's going to be possibly out for the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter. He's still going to get if they win it, he's still going to get a ring. So, probably sucks because he wants to play in the Super Bowl, but it doesn't really impact their team that much because, I mean, he was only with them for like a third of the season anyway. Fred VanVleet. Yo, shout out Fred VanVleet, who, as an undrafted player in the NBA, dropped 54. He broke the NBA record for most points by an undrafted player in the NBA. So, 54 points. Also, he shot like 73% from the three. It was like 11 for 13 or something like that. So, yeah, Fred VanVleet, congratulations. I'm not going to lie. I used to think you were kind of overrated. I want to see this consistently more from you. But yeah, that's awesome. I think you're making a lot of people, myself included, eat their words because Kyle Lowry will be expiring next year. His contract will be expiring next year. So they're going to need a point guard for the future. And you know what? If this is what they're going to get, that's awesome. You're a 6-foot point guard who got like, 3 or 4 blocks as well. So yeah, good for you, Fred VanVleet. And Toronto Raptors, you guys are finally looking better than you guys did at the start of the season. Speaking of NBA, Kyrie dropped 39 last night, and he's averaging 30 in his return. I did make a video saying, like, basically my reaction to the whole James Harden trade to the Nets. And in that video, I said the Nets should trade Kyrie, and I'm gonna stick by that. I'm not saying Kyrie is not a talented basketball player. He is. That's why they should trade him because he's worth so much. My proposed trade. That I still think would stand and would be an amazing trade for I mean, both sides, but the Nets would win the shit out of this. Aaron Gordon, Vucevic for Kyrie, and I'm sure the Nets could probably also get a first out of that. You're getting one of your million draft picks back that you gave away, and you're getting one star and one great big in Vucevic who can stretch the floor, and you got Aaron Gordon who, I mean, obviously they're probably gonna play KD at the 4 because of his size, but I mean, if you needed to, you could roll out a lineup of you got James Harden and then Durant and then Aaron Gordon and then Vucevic, who all 4 of those players can shoot threes. Oh, you got Joe Harris as well, who could probably play the 1 or the 2, and you just move James Harden to the 1. So you do not have one person that cannot shoot the ball. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? The Magic are in a full rebuild. They're probably going to be in the top 3 picks for next season. So, yeah, Kyrie, I'm happy that you're averaging 30 since you returned, but you have a history, my man. So that's why I think the Nets should trade you. Yeah, I think it's a great trade. If I was a GM, I'll pull the trigger on that immediately. Why not? I mean, that's literally the biggest need right now for the Nets is the big position. They're having DeAndre Jordan start. They traded away Jared Allen. So, yeah, that's what they need. Other news, the Eagles listening to offers for Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz is unhappy in Philadelphia. Okay, this doesn't change anything. I mean, the Eagles are like a trash. There's what's the dumpster fire of an organization right now. Wouldn't surprise me if Wentz is traded. Still think he's probably going to get traded to the Colts just because of his relationship with Frank Reich. Also, it's a different conference. So, yeah. And it's also, Goff, we'll talk about it later, but, I mean, I don't think that trade is because Carson Wentz is earning more than Goff is right now. So, I think the Wentz trade would get a lot less than the Goff trade did. NCAA football is back, and I'm not talking like real football, even though that kind of is. I'm talking the video game. EA is bringing back NCAA football. I'm so freaking excited, but man, does EA make garbage football games? And so I literally have, my expectations are so far down here. Actually, no, I'm putting my expectations up here because the last NCAA football game they made was really, really fun, and people still play it to this day. That game goes for like $500 online because that's how much people want to play that game. So EA, don't fumble the bag. Do not fumble the bag. Obviously, it will not have like real rosters from NCAA teams because players can't earn money from their likenesses, which is fucking ridiculous and stupid. So you won't have the real players, like their faces and everything. But if we're being real, there are so many people in the world. I think the NBA 2K community kind of shows us that create like draft classes and rosters. I'm sure that rosters will be created and updated with like lookalikes and with actual stats and names for players that are in the NCAA. So, and honestly, I think that'd be much cooler than if EA was doing it because EA kind of sucks at the ratings thing sometimes. And so if you have, community members doing that, I think that'd make the game so much better. So looking forward to that. Honestly, I'm really hoping it's good. I missed the NCAA games mightily. One of my best memories is on my PS Vita playing NCAA Football 12, and my mom was taking some of her students, because she's a teacher. They were taking students on the ski trip, and it was an overnight ski trip because my mom works at an international school. Hope I'm not giving too much away about you, Mom. And so it was an overnight trip, and we got to our log cabin. This is a complete tangent. I would not be surprised if you guys skipped this. I wouldn't blame you either. We got to the log cabin and we got like basically snowed in, and I like begged my mom for, I think it was $25 at the time, to download the game on my PS Vita because all we had was Wi-Fi. At the log cabin. Downloaded it. It took like 2 hours to download, but man, being snowed in and playing the career mode, so much fun. I remember I like take tests and things. Literally loved that. That was one of the best memories ever. So excited about that. Also, another thing I'm extremely excited for, The Weeknd is performing at the Super Bowl, and reports came out, he's giving $7 million of his own dollars to the Super Bowl. And guys, you literally have no idea how excited I am about this. My favorite album of all time is After Hours. Like, even though it came out a year ago, and it might be recency bias, it's not. I listen to this album basically nightly. I love this album so much, and he's giving his own money. He's a creative god. And honestly, if this wasn't Mahomes v. Brady, I think I would be looking forward to that. I'd be one of those people that's looking forward to the halftime show more than the actual Super Bowl. So, yeah, so excited for this. Literally so excited. And lastly, Jared Goff opened up about his trade in a recent interview with the LA Times, basically saying like, yeah, it sucks when you're not wanted, but the feeling was mutual. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about Jared Goff being traded from LA to the Lions. Initial thoughts. When I first saw this, I genuinely was like, okay, Matt Stafford's definitely involved. Well, I think what I saw was Matt Stafford traded for Goff or something like that. And so I figured it would be like Matt Stafford for Goff and like 2 3s and a second or something like that. But the Rams gave up 2 firsts? Are you guys nuts? Now, let me get this straight. If this was like a pitch for Deshaun Watson, I'd understand. I like Matthew Stafford a lot. I think being in Detroit has wrecked his career. I think he would have been a Hall of Famer. Yes, I mean that. If he would have been on another team that would have actually like done good things for him. Oh, he's had Calvin Johnson. Yeah, okay, cool. He's had 2 good receivers in the past 10 years. Cry me a river, build a bridge and get over it. He's one of the toughest quarterbacks and one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL, but he got stuck with a horrible organization. So I don't want to hear it. But he's 32 years old. Not many quarterbacks are going to go past like 37. So, and he's only 2 years on his contract, and he has said that he is not going to for sure re-sign. You guys paid 2 first-round picks? Even a first would have been a lot. I'm not saying it would have been too much, but it would have been a lot. You guys gave 2 firsts? You guys don't have a first-round pick till 2024? Like, Jalen Ramsey, I can understand. He's young. You signed him. He was obviously like one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the game. So that makes sense. And he's young. That's one of the biggest things. You guys gave up 2 picks to get Jared Goff. You essentially just paid 4 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford. Why? I like Matthew Stafford. I think the fit is great. I think Stafford with McVay and Kupp and Akers and Woods and Higbee and that O-line and that defense, I think they're probably going to be better. Well, be better than San Francisco and better than Seattle and better than Arizona. But 2 first-round picks? Yes, the Lions won this trade. Not for right now. I mean, obviously the Lions are probably going to go like 3-13 next season. But you guys don't have a future in LA. And I will say you guys do draft middle round guys really, really well. And you guys develop them really, really well as well. But first round picks are sometimes kind of nice because they're also valuable to use in trades. So now you guys have none until 2024. So let's see, 2024. You have to be at least 22 to get into or 21 to get into the NFL. I guess 20, but let's 20-year-olds. Okay, those guys are entering college like next year. Those guys are, oh my God, those guys are like 3 or 4 years younger than me. Oh man. Not only did you guys mortgage your future, you made me feel old. Thanks, LA. Appreciate that. I'm 20 years old and y'all made me feel old because the people in the NFL are going to be younger than me when you can finally trade a draft pick you can use. I don't understand. Why? Also, Stafford was in Cabo when Sean McVay was. That was an actual coincidence. Like, it's been reported like that was not planned at all. Do you guys think Sean McVay like met up with Stafford earlier? They were like, "Oh, you're in Cabo too? That's sick. Oh yeah, we're at this resort. Oh, that's cool. We're at that resort." And Sean McVay is like, "Hey, yo, keep your eyes open because things might happen. I like you a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. I like you a lot." And Stafford just looked at his wife like, "Did that just happen? Are we moving to? Are we getting out of Detroit? No respect to Detroit, but I mean it's LA. Are we getting out of Detroit and going to LA? Is this real?" And then like 2 hours later, he was like, "Oh my God, is happening." And yeah, I think that probably didn't happen, but that would have been sick. But yeah, then they had dinner together the night he got traded. Gangster move by McVay, by the way. The man literally was like, "Hey, yo, yeah, I know you're here, so let's go get dinner and talk about some plays." So, yes, looking forward to that. That was a really weird coincidence. I just got a phone call when I picked up my phone to just do that bit. That's wild. Definitely a telemarketer, so I'm going to put that down. Yeah, no, so other than that, the Lions definitely won this trade. Man, I feel so bad for Jared Goff. I actually liked Jared Goff as a quarterback. I thought he got like a lot of disrespect. Like I said, he would probably win as many games in Dallas as Dak would. But I mean, he's not going to Dallas. He's going to Detroit. And man, I think this is the end of Jared Goff's career. I feel really bad for him. I just think like him and McVay were so good together, but apparently, obviously reports came out that their relationship became fractured. So, I mean, maybe he proves us all wrong, and the Lions end up going 12-4 next season, and he's just on fire. I'd like to believe that, but we kind of saw what he could have been in his first year with the Rams, where like he was really, really bad, and then Sean McVay came in and he was really, really good. Sean McVay earned that man a $35 million per year contract. So I think a lot of Jared Goff was Sean McVay. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the Lions also, I like what they've been doing. I'm not really sure about their head coaching hire, and Anthony Lynn is the OC. I mean, this basically just guarantees that DeAndre Swift is going to be like a godly running back in the NFL, because that's just what Andrew Lynn does to running backs in the NFL. But other than that, I'm rooting for you guys, because like it's always nice when a team that sucks for so long gets good. But I don't think you guys are going to be able to do that much with these first. You guys probably won't make the right picks, honestly. Hey, maybe 3 years from now they're winning back-to-back Super Bowls and I'm wrong. But that's just my take on it. Yeah. So, good first leg. Good to be back. Nice to get into the groove of things again. In the second leg, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Never hear that name except every single season, or every single day of every single week of the last 2 months. But we'll get into that more. Also, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. Why not? I mean, it's only tomorrow when this video goes out. So stick around for that, guys. Welcome back to the Training Camp Podcast. Now in 4K. That's not even a joke. We're literally shooting in 4K now. So look at that. You can see every little ugly ass part of my face. Sorry if the first half of this podcast went a little strangely. Still trying to get back to the groove of everything. But yeah, so last leg, if you guys talked about it, I just kind of talked about the podcast for the first 5 minutes, just kind of where I've been, what's going on, where we're gonna go, stuff like that. And then I got into the news of the week, just the biggest stories. So I'm not just gonna mention all 9 of them now. Go back and watch it if you guys are curious what I was talking about. And then I talked about the Goff and Stafford trade and just my thoughts on it. So okay, what is the one thing that has been just all my Twitter feed? Deshaun Watson, Chargers, because JP likes those, and I only follow 3 people, and then an occasional retweet by Amona, and then Deshaun Watson. That's all that's been on social media lately, and I mean, it makes sense. If you've been living under a rock or have not uploaded a podcast in a month, basically Deshaun Watson is not happy in Houston. Why? Well, I don't know. He's Deshaun Watson, and he just went 4-12. They traded DeAndre Hopkins for a 2 and a bag of chips, and his offensive line is absolute garbage. So, yeah, why would he request a trade? Except for literally any logical reason. But reports came out today that the Jets, he never said the Jets were his favorite option. I guess he said that they were one of the options that he looked at, but it wasn't his favorite option, what the report came out and said. So I'm going to give you guys my 5 best destinations for Deshaun Watson. Now we're going to do 2 different top 5s. The first top 5 is going to be the best fits for Deshaun Watson. Where best he can go. And then my other 5 are going to be the most realistic and kind of best fits for Houston to trade him to, because let's be real, if we're talking best fits in the NFL, the Colts are probably up there. The Colts aren't even on my best fits because I know it's not going to happen because it's in division. And the Colts are literally just a quarterback away from being a contender. So, yeah, if we're talking that, there's the teams that are best for Deshaun Watson are really not the best for the Jets. So let's do this. Number 1, Miami. Yeah, the Dolphins. This was one of the earliest ones that leaked. Was that out of his favorite ones? It makes sense. Miami's a nice location. I know he played in a dome for his entire career so far, and he's used to warm weather because of Clemson. But I mean, he wouldn't be going to cold weather, be going to Miami. So he'd be in his element there. Miami has an amazing defense right now. They're an up and coming team. They're basically a quarterback away. I'm not confident in Tua right now. It sounds like the Dolphins aren't confident in Tua either. So, I mean, if the Dolphins aren't confident in Tua, they might be able to use him as a trade piece, which the earliest reports were that Tua was going to be involved in a trade if Miami and Houston were able to strike a deal, which makes sense. Like, Tua and a first and a second and maybe a future third for Deshaun Watson, like that would make sense. Well, now that Jared Goff just got Matthew Stafford just got 2 first-round picks, yeah, no. Deshaun Watson's asking price is 9 first-round picks. And then also like half of your cap and your other best player. And then maybe your head coach and your GM as well. So good luck trading for Deshaun Watson. I can't wait. I cannot wait for the report to come out that Deshaun Watson's been traded for like 1-1 and a 2. I cannot wait for that to happen. That'll be hilarious. But yeah, Miami I think is the best fit just because they also have developing weapons. I mean, Devontae Parker has kind of had a breakout season for the past 2 seasons. They have a great tight end. They have in Gesicki. They have a great running back, honestly, that they found in kind of just. They just found him. Gaskin just kind of dropped into their lap. Their O-line's really, really good, and it's getting a lot better. But, I mean, the biggest thing is their defense. Deshaun Watson has not played on a team that's had a good defense his entire career in the NFL. So I think that's one of the best things for him. Also, Brian Flores looks like a really, really good coach. And it looks like right now Miami's going to be jumping from OC to OC until they find their quarterback that can, essentially their quarterback or an OC that can best develop Tua into the quarterback they want him to be. But yeah, I think Miami is the number 1 best fit. Number 2? New Orleans. They're losing Drew Brees. I know he hasn't officially announced his retirement, but let's be real. He's not coming back. They signed Taysom Hill to a 2-year contract, 2-year, $15 million. Don't know why. I like Taysom Hill as a gadget guy. Don't really like him as a franchise quarterback. Call that controversial. But I know they have Jameis as well. But if you're able to trade for Deshaun Watson, why would you re-sign Jameis? There's no point to re-sign Jameis in that case. So yeah, I think the Saints are definitely one. Also, the Saints defense, Kamara. I don't even know what to think about Michael Thomas right now. Like I used to defend the whole slant boy stuff. I used to defend that. You can ask Nick. Nick is a slant boy enthusiast when it comes to Michael Thomas. But after last season, I know he was injured, but my man didn't get a touchdown. Not a touchdown. Antonio Brown, in his only game with the Patriots in one season, had like 50 yards and a touchdown. No chemistry. Just did it. Come on, MT. Come on. But they also have a pretty good tight end in Jared Cook. Their O-line is, it's probably top 10. And if Michael Thomas can get back to his form, then hey, you're basically getting a DeAndre Hopkins level player for Deshaun Watson. So, I mean, and he's also finally getting a star running back in Kamara. Good defense. New Orleans could be super, super nice. The only reason I'm kind of worried about New Orleans, also it's a cross conference, so like it's more realistic than some other trades. Because I really doubt that Houston wants to keep Deshaun Watson in the AFC. There's no reason they should, and you don't want to face him possibly once every year, or they're not going to face him they're not going to trade him in division, so they're not going to face him twice a year. So yeah, New Orleans kind of makes sense. Number 3, Washington. Yes, funny. I didn't even think about them when I was making this list. I was like, Washington? Nah, it's Washington. But I mean, this season we have to start thinking about Washington differently because they're not just Washington anymore. Like, they made the playoffs. I know they're 7-9. I know it's the NFC East, but like they went 7-9. One of my first podcasts, I said if the Washington football team makes the playoffs, that Ron Rivera should be given Coach of the Year. I'm kind of going to stand by that because he was fighting cancer, basically 2 kinds, with Dwayne Haskins, who's now a Pittsburgh Steeler. I can make a whole other video about that. Anyway, so I mean, yeah, they have good weapons too. Antonio Gibson's a phenomenal rookie running back. Terry McLaurin is a amazing wide receiver. He's proven he can be a wide receiver 1. When you're good enough to be a wide receiver on a bad team, you are good enough to be a wide receiver 1. They have a great tight end as well. So like they have, again, if you can be a good skill position on a bad team, you're going to be good in a good team because that just means you have talent. So they have good offensive weapons. Their offensive line was very, very highly ranked towards the end of the season. I think they're just a couple pieces away, like literally just 1 or 2 players on the offensive line away from that being probably in the top 5, possible. Like, there's an argument to be made. And their defense is phenomenal, even though it's had just a 1-year turnaround essentially. But yeah, no, their defense has been stout. They've got a future presence with their defense, especially like with Chase Young being on it and how he's going to develop. He was already amazing in his rookie year. So yeah, no, that I think Washington definitely makes sense. Again, it's also a different conference. It's the NFC, so that could be more realistic. Also, again, Washington has a lower draft pick. They made the playoffs, so it's not going to be as low as other teams that went 7-9, but it's a lower draft pick, so it could be worth something. And I mean, if Washington gave up like 2 for, again, the asking price, we're going to act like, when I'm talking about trades, we're going to act like the Stafford trade didn't happen. Washington gave up like 2 firsts and probably 2 seconds. And I don't know, Chad Henneke, why not? He had a good game. So I mean, Washington would find a way. Honestly, they have a new president of football operations there. It looks like they're turning the culture around. So I like Washington as the 3rd spot. Number 4. This is where the controversy might come in. I don't know why I'm holding a highlighter. This is where the controversy might come in. Cleveland. You cannot tell me Cleveland is not a good fit. I know that they have a quarterback. But would you rather have? I almost called Baker Johnny Manziel. I don't know why. I don't think they're the same at all. But I almost did it. Would you rather have? Oh my God! I almost did it again. Would you rather have Baker Mayfield or would you have Deshaun Watson? Just answer the question. You would rather. I know you would rather have Deshaun Watson. Even if you're a diehard Browns fan, you know you want Deshaun Watson. Like, Baker Mayfield's good. Again, you could trade Baker Mayfield. You could include Baker Mayfield in that trade. You got weapons. I think if you could probably keep Odell in that case because, oh my God, you could probably actually include Odell in that trade and maybe get something back. But you can maybe keep Odell. I think one of the issues Odell kind of brought the team down and was had a bad impact on the team was because of his just kind of connection with Baker Mayfield. It seemed like Baker was just forcing him the ball. I think Deshaun Watson has played with and been able to succeed with a star level the wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, so I think that'd be a better approach. Then you'd have a great number 2 in Jarvis Landry, great tight end in Austin Hooper or David Njoku. Great offensive line. The only thing that they would really need is defense, but Deshaun Watson's used to a bad defense, so you cannot tell me that Cleveland would not be a good destination for Deshaun Watson. Number 5, this was actually kind of hard. I'm going to say Chicago because I think if they were able to trade for Deshaun Watson, before free agency starts and before the draft, I think they would be able to get Allen Robinson to re-sign. They would probably be able to sign some other players as well. They would have to get off the Nick Foles contract, obviously. He might be included in that trade, just be a transition quarterback for the Texans. But, if Allen Robinson is most likely going to walk, but if he sees, Deshaun Watson can be my quarterback, I will probably re-sign because I don't want to have to sell my house and then move my family to a brand new city and have to restart my life somewhere else. So I think Chicago would make a lot of sense. Also, again, a great defense. Their O-line's okay. I think they would probably approach that in free agency. They'd probably have to give up some draft picks. They wouldn't be able to really draft O-linemen. They've got good up-and-coming players as well. Denzel Mims looks like a really... he doesn't look like a project. He looks like he can just develop himself, which is a really, really good thing. They also have Cole Kmet, who looks like he's going to be a good tight end for the future. I know, I didn't even think about this. Chip is creaming his jorts right now thinking about Deshaun Watson going to the Bears. Do I think it's realistic? Probably not. I just think it's a good fit. I think it's obviously the 5th best fit in the league if I had to guess. And again, I think Deshaun Watson would fit anywhere except for 3 teams. Seattle, Kansas City, and Buffalo. I think those 3 teams they're not going to accept the calls. I think every other team, though, probably would, just because this is a 25-year-old quarterback. And even if you have, I do think Baltimore would accept a phone call about it because they've seen Lamar has, he hits walls in times. And obviously they haven't really had a good job creating a game plan to avoid hitting those walls and just maneuver around them. So I do think Baltimore would definitely consider it. Now, biggest. What's happening tomorrow, guys? What's happening tomorrow? Oh, that's right. The Super Bowl. Now, how do you get to the Super Bowl? You need a good quarterback. And essentially, these next 5 teams that I'm talking about, should trade for, like, it's realistic that they'll trade for Deshaun Watson. They don't really have a good quarterback to get to the Super Bowl. There is one team on this list that has been to a Super Bowl. But that quarterback is not good enough to take you to a Super Bowl. So, these are my 5 most realistic places that Deshaun Watson goes. Number 1, the New York Jets. I also just feel bad for Jets fans. I really do, I'm not going to lie. I don't understand why you'd want to go to New York. I never understood that report in the first place. They don't have any good weapons. They don't have a good defense. They don't have a good O-line. They're bad everywhere. But if we're talking trades, like, yeah, the Jets is the most realistic place. They have a plethora of picks, and that's all that Houston really needs at this point. I mean, they could give up like 3 to 4. Now we can bring back the Stafford. Since we're talking about realistic trade destinations, we can bring back the Stafford deal into reality. So yes, you could probably get 4 or 5 draft picks, possibly ones, for Deshaun Watson from the Jets. So yes, the Jets are the most. I'm not gonna spend that much time on them. The Jets. Number 2. I know I said Houston wouldn't trade in division. I think it's the only thing they would, because they are historically bad and have only had like one good season in the past forever. Jacksonville, they have the number 1 overall pick. If again, this is that situation where it's like you have a proven quarterback, or you have a quarterback you think you know a lot about. Bring in Urban Meyer, you think Urban Meyer's gonna be able to fix and just like turn Trevor Lawrence into a god and a hero in the NFL. Yeah, that very well could be. I'm very high on Trevor Lawrence, but you have an established quarterback in Deshaun Watson. You have the number 1 overall pick. I doubt that Houston would be like, oh, what's that? Like let's say Jacksonville calls and the GM's like, what's that? You want to offer us the first overall pick for Deshaun Watson? Oh, and another first round pick as well, and maybe another first round pick. Hey, yo, Jacksonville's calling. They want Deshaun. So they're willing to go at the first. Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, we're going to have to... No, they're not going to decline that. Yes, that'll be... Yes, thank you very much. Send it over. We'll send Deshaun tomorrow. Like, that's going to happen. So, yeah, I think that's also pretty realistic as well. Also, it'd be kind of good for Deshaun Watson. You have a good running back in James Robinson. You got a good weapon. You got good receivers in... I literally just blanked the rookie's name. I traded him in my fantasy league like 3 different times. Laviska Shenault, that's his name. And then you also have DJ Chark. You have a developing defense. I think Urban Meyer would be great for it. So, yeah, I think it would be a win for both teams. Number 3, the only reason I put this on teams because reports are coming out that this is like the talks are heating up. Las Vegas, the Raiders. I think the Raiders could give up Derek Carr, a couple first-round picks, and maybe even like another weapon. I don't like Deshaun going to the Raiders. I think John Gruden's a very overrated coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying he's overrated. That's all I'm saying. Obviously, the past 2 seasons they've started 6-3 and then finished 7-9. So, just saying. It seems like there might be a culture problem. Also, there were reports that like Nelson Aguilar was just telling off teammates. Good on you. Sounds like they needed it because it really sounds like when you lose to the Jets on a Hail Mary because you don't, or when you almost lose to the Jets because they don't run a freaking prevent defense because they're trying to lose and you barely won that game. You got problems in your locker room. So yeah, I think Vegas is a pretty realistic team. Number 4, this is a team that's talking about. It's been a Super Bowl. They're actually one of the more popular talking points. I don't think it's one of the best fits, but it's realistic. It'd probably be number 6. It's probably this or Chicago. It's I think those two switch off essentially. San Francisco, again, Jared Goff. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a quarterback who's going to take you to the Super Bowl. He's been to a Super Bowl, but it wasn't because of Jimmy Garoppolo. It was because of Kyle Shanahan. Again, this is one of the reasons I was kind of iffy on the fit for Deshaun Watson. It's because they have a lot of injury-prone running backs, and we don't really know what they have in wide receivers yet because they're either injury-prone or they're just constantly rotating them out. He'd have one definite weapon in Kittle. Obviously, their O-line is pretty good, and their defense, if they come back healthy and just back to normal, they'll be great. But it's really just like the consistency of his weapons is one of the reasons I was like, maybe, I don't know. So, but I mean, it's probably more realistic. Again, this is out of the 4 teams I've named so far, and actually out of all 5 teams I'm going to name, it's the only one in the NFC, which is, again, that's one of the biggest reasons I think they're they're in my top 5 is because, again, if you're trading out of your conference, you don't have to face Deshaun Watson as much. You don't have to look at your ex-quarterback in the face every single season like, oh, man, I could have had a playoff spot, but you beat us? Why are you doing this? He's like, well, you didn't help me out. And so it's a situation that benefits Houston because he's getting out of conference. And San Francisco has a lower pick this year because they had an off year. So they could package that and Jimmy Garoppolo and a bunch of other stuff. He could be getting off of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract too. Yeah. It's kind of realistic. Kind of. It is realistic. Number 5, this is my number 1. This is actually my number 1 team for where I think he should go. I think Miami's a very realistic team. Obviously not the most realistic, but I think it's realistic. You got picks. You have Houston's pick. You can give it back to him. You can give him up another first-round pick, years from this year. You can give up Tua Tagovailoa. Honestly, I think those two and Tua might be enough because you'll be able to get a franchise quarterback, you'll be able to get some weapons, but you'll be able to get offensive linemen with all 3 of those picks. That solves 3 of the Texans' multiple problems. But hey, you're solving 3 for 1 player. That's great. You're probably also going to get a couple thirds, maybe even a couple seconds. So you're going to be able to address the future of your team. Honestly, I think Miami's probably the best for Houston, because they'd be getting, a franchise quarterback and then a bunch of picks that they can use to address the holes in their team. That way it makes it younger and they can develop better. The only reason I didn't put the Miami number 1 is because the Jets can give just so many first-round picks. And that trade mostly benefits the Jets for right now. It's kind of like the Stafford trade where it's like, yeah, you're winning now, but you kind of fuck for the future. So, but I really like Miami, even though it's number 5 for realistic. I'm kind of hesitant because it's the AFC. I mean, the first 3 teams I named, I know it was Jets, Jacksonville, and Vegas, but those 3 teams are not issues in the AFC right now. So I think that's another reason why Houston would trade him in conference to those teams. It's just because it's he's not going to be a problem. He's with these garbage teams. So, yeah, that's my take on Deshaun Watson. Next leg, we're going to talk about Super Bowl, which is tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And the brand new segment that I've never done before. How crazy is that? That's wild. Anyways, stick around for that. All right, last leg of the pod. If you guys missed it, we talked about the news of the week in the first leg, as well as the changes to the podcast, and my take on the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade. And then, in the last one, we just spent the entire time talking about the Watson situation and where I think he should go. Both the best fits and what I think. So basically the best fits for the Texans and the best fits for Deshaun Watson. I listed 5 teams for each, my top 5. So this one, tomorrow, got Super Bowl Sunday, baby. I am honestly, I know I said in the first leg, I was talking about how the weekend's hosting. I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to that. That is still true. But this Super Bowl, I'm really looking forward to. This is a funny thing. I actually really love Tom Brady. I just hate the Patriots. Probably because just they're so good. And, Pittsburgh had 6 rings. That was our thing. And now it's not our thing because fucking Patriots got it too. But I love Tom Brady. So I'm really happy to see him in a Super Bowl without the Patriots being there. I also just love when a bad team just suddenly turns good. The Buccaneers are definitely a part of that. And we also got Pittsburgh blood in, not actual from Pittsburgh, but coaching Pittsburgh blood in the Super Bowl with Bruce Arians. So that'd be sick to see him get another one. And also, it's funny. I know the Chiefs are probably gonna be the next Patriots. That's how this is basically gonna go. But I actually really like the Chiefs. I wouldn't mind if the Chiefs tied the Steelers in Super Bowls. I really like Patrick Mahomes a lot, and I like Andy Reid. They're just very different from the Patriots' style. Tyreek Hill's a lot of fun to watch, and Kelsey's a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, this is gonna be a really entertaining Super Bowl. I think this is one of the I wasn't really excited for the one last year because I was I thought the San Francisco was a little overrated going into the Super Bowl. I didn't really like Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback, just because he didn't really have to carry. Here you're getting 2 great offenses led by 2 great quarterbacks. I mean, obviously the main headline going around is the GOAT versus the kid with, obviously Tom Brady being the GOAT, and then everyone's saying that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the next big thing. So, yeah, I kind of even believe that too. So I'm really looking forward to the Super Bowl a lot. You also have 2 good defenses, but not 2 amazing defenses. You have if Vita Vea plays, you have 2 great defensive lines led by 2 great guys in Chris Jones and Vita Vea. And then you have 2, I'm not going to say amazing secondaries, but 2 good secondaries. And honestly, I don't know. I was really high on the Buccaneers on their defense earlier in the year, but they kind of started to fall apart towards the middle of the year. But I like Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator too. Also, Eric Bieniemy, I love him as a coordinator too. I think it is downright wrong. It should be illegal, the fact that he does not have a head coaching job right now. Him and Brian Dable, I can't believe that they're not going to be head coaches for teams next season. But, that means Bieniemy gets and Dable get to stay with their teams that they already had success with, so maybe they can just continue to build on that success. So, good for them. Honestly, I not only, I really want Brady to get his 7th because I think that's just awesome. I don't understand how some people can't call Brady the GOAT. I think it's just a thing where they just don't like Brady. So I'd like to see Brady get his 7th, but I really want Mahomes to catch Brady. And I think if he doesn't win this one, it's going to be even more difficult. I also would love to see a back-to-back for the first time in forever. And the Chiefs are, again, a team that have not always been good. They've been mediocre. They started back in the merger. They started really, really great, and then they kind of had mediocre seasons, and then they were playoff teams, and then they were really, really bad, especially when I was little. And then they were mediocre, and then now they're really, really good. So I also really love Andy Reid. I personally think Andy Reid is a better head coach than Bill Belichick because he has done it in multiple locations with different teams, different systems, different quarterbacks. And so, again, another person I really want to catch as a GOAT, I want Andy Reid to catch Bill Belichick as the GOAT. And I just think that'd be really, really cool. So, and I also do think in my heart, this is some sentimental thing, I do think that the Chiefs are going to win this game no matter what. I think they have better talent. I think they have a better schematic system. I think... I really like Bruce Arians as a head coach and as a coordinator, and what he does for quarterbacks is amazing with how he really gets production out of them. But I think Andy Reid is on another level with Eric Bieniemy, and I think the Chiefs will find a way. Who are you going to cover? Okay, you're going to double. This is what you have to do. You have to double Tyreek. You have to double Kelsey. You're probably going to have to spy Mahomes most of the time because if you're doubling those guys alone and you're just rushing, he's going to flush out of the pocket and run on you. So that's what you got to do. So they just have too many weapons to beat you. So I think the Chiefs will probably pull out in this game. And this is my last segment. This is a new segment. This segment is called But I Mean. And basically in this segment, it's kind of like my hot takes. These aren't what I believe 100% wholeheartedly. It's a situation where it's but I mean, why not? But I mean, you guys will get the gist. So I'll do 3 of these when I do the But I Mean segments. Actually, I'm really curious. If you guys have any But I Means as well, please drop those in the comment. And if you guys agree or disagree, also drop that in the comment. Let me know. So, number 1. I know the NBA MVP frontrunners are Embiid and Jokic. But I mean, why isn't the award Steph's to lose? He's carrying this team. We didn't get to see much of Steph by himself last season because he got hurt as well. But I mean, Draymond is not what he used to be. Clay is gone. He's having to use a rookie and a recent acquisition who's shooting less than 25% from the three-pointer. He's got an overpaid contract in Wiggins. He's making it work. Why isn't it the award Steph's to lose? Number 2. I know the Super Bowl has Brady, Mahomes, Tyreek, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, and so on and so forth. But I mean, why can't the Super Bowl MVP be a defensive player? If this game is not an extremely high-scoring game, that's got to be credit to the defense. Why can't Tyrann Mathieu end up with 2 interceptions and a forced fumble and not win Super Bowl MVP? Why can't Devin White end with 2 sacks and an interception and win Super Bowl MVP? These are come on. These defenses, if this game should be an offensive juggernaut. But if it's not, you got to give credit to the defenses. In that case, you got to give Super Bowl MVP to a defensive player. And my last one. I know that Madden's been garbage for the past 10 years. But I mean, why can't I be optimistic that the NCAA football game in Madden 22 are going to be good? It's a new console. Hopefully that means they're going to get a new game mechanic. Get a new game engine. And hopefully they're going to recognize there's a lot of pressure on them to make a good game. And they'll take that seriously. And 2K also is going to get licensing to make a football game. So why not? Why can't I be optimistic for that? Yeah. Anyways, I had a lot of fun coming back to the podcast. I'm excited to start doing this weekly again. Honestly, it's one of the things I looked forward to the most. I'm glad I could take some time off, though. Just get some me time, get some figure out time for the podcast as well. Hope you guys just have a hell of a lot of fun at the Super Bowl. Hope 2021 has been treating you guys well so far. If it hasn't, hey, we're only a month in. We got 11 more months to go. There's always nothing but up from here. Yeah, be sure to like and share this podcast with any of your friends that you think love sports. And if you guys have anything you want me to talk about or anything, just like commenting on anything that I said. If it was stupid, if you agree, if you have a different take on it, let me know by dropping a comment down below. We also got the Instagram that'll be in the description as well as our audio podcast. So if you don't want to watch it, you can just listen to the podcast whenever you're working out, doing chores, driving somewhere, that stuff. So appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate the patience with you guys too. You guys have been awesome. I literally I think I've lost like 3 subs in the month that I've been gone. So, and I think that was just YouTube going through and removing people who aren't really active on YouTube anymore. So yeah, I appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me, and I will see you guys in the next episode of the podcast.